But when they go into the facilities, they always claim that they're being abused physically, mentally, emotionally. And I mean, they do the whole gamut.
Carrie, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Hi, both. Thank you for taking my call. First off, I have a very unique situation. I have two teenage daughters who are diagnosed with mental challenges, and they've been in and out of mental facilities for suicidal ideation. There's a lot of rage and I don't even know what to say. A lot of things that's going on with them. And they are in care right now. But when they go into the facilities, they always claim that they're being abused physically, mentally, emotionally. And I mean, they do the whole gamut. Every time I have been investigated, everything has been unfounded. And right now, I've been to court, the judge said that I'm a danger to these girls. Mind you, I am the one who has initiated everything. They have been in wraparound services, mental health therapists, going to the psychiatrist, having services at the school. They have counselors that come to the house, and this has been consistent for years. I have been to every type of therapy that you could think of, mother and child, family, individual, and this has been a group thing. But yet these girls go in the facility, they tell them that, oh, I'm beating them. And then they come, they investigate me, they find it to be unfounded. But yet I'm going to court right now because they deem me to be a danger to these girls. Mind you, they also fight one another, and when they fight one another, they get very destructive, not to mention they have, thrown bricks at me, hit me where left a knot on me, push me down, and it's all coming out that I am a danger to them. So my thing is, how do me, a person who's dealing with children who are the way that they are, how can I win to not have my character assassinated in court, to say that I'm a danger? I have advocated for them to the fullest extent. I have done the best of my ability to take care of them, and yet I am being charged as if I've done something wrong when I have all of these papers from the school, all of these evaluations from psychiatrists that says that they have problems and that they are known, and I don't want to just say that they are fibbers, but they have been known to tell fibs. They've been known to hurt people at school, hurt themselves, when the majority of the time that they have gone into the facilities, that's where they have had cutting. It goes on in the hospital, not at my home, but in the hospital. But they tell me that I'm a danger to them, I'm being neglectful. But they cut themselves while they was in a facility that you guys have staff galore to take care of them. Psychiatrists and all of that, and they can cut in there, and you guys aren't neglectful, but you want to call me neglectful? How is that? Okay, how is it that I'm neglectful and I'm abandoning?
Carrie,
okay.
I want to try to answer that question. I want Miss Ani to weigh in, and then I'll weigh in after her. Jennifer, what do you think about this, about her question?
Well, I first think, these are such tough cases, and my heart goes out to you. You're in a tough spot. And I'm not sure which hearing the judge made that finding that you're a danger to them. If it were one of the earlier hearings, then, that's a temporary finding. If it's a later hearing, then that's a different story. But if you have psychopaths, and if the first one, okay, so the first hearing, the detention, the judge makes certain boilerplate findings in order to get federal funding assigned to the case. As we know, funding drives many of these cases. And so the finding that the children cannot be returned because the parent's home isn't safe or the parent presents a danger, you shouldn't take that to heart. That's not a finding that is, I mean, and I know it doesn't seem reasonable or logical, but that's not a finding that the court's making that it intends to be permanent. It's a finding the court has to make at the first hearing in order to legally keep the kids detained and to obtain federal money. So that would be my comment about that.
You know, I'll comment.
Okay.
I'll comment this way. You know, you're in a very bad situation because in a lot of cases, it's my humble opinion that, you know, a lot of judges sometimes rule the way they do because they give the kids the benefit of the doubt versus
That they do.
instead of giving the parent the benefit of the doubt. I remember one time I was in a case and one of the other attorneys basically in the closing argument told the judge, you don't think kids lie? And of course, we all know that kids lie. But it seems that in these situations, to be safe, quote unquote, and to make sure, you know, we don't return children to people who will abuse them, we tend to believe them in these types of hearings, in these types of cases. So, you know, it's difficult because the judge has to make the ultimate decision about who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth. Now, you have firsthand knowledge because you know what's true and what's not true. That doesn't mean when your case is presented in such a way by the social worker, by the social worker's attorney, and by the minors and the minor's attorney, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to convince the judge of something that's really not true. You know, unfortunately, our system, as good as it is, it's not perfect. And I've seen, you know, many cases. I've been doing this over 35 years. I've seen many cases where decisions were made that I thought or I felt were wrong, you know, but I wasn't there either, right? So how do you know when someone is telling the truth? And it's our system that the judge has the ultimate say. And unfortunately, it's just our system of justice. It's just our system of justice. I bet you see on the news every day some guy getting let out of prison after 30 years because he didn't commit the crime. You ever see that on the news, Carrie?
Yes, I have.
Right. And I fear that you're in one of those situations. I had dinner last night with someone, and we were talking about an attorney who's now deceased, but he was one of the great attorneys from California, if not from the country, Johnny Cochran. Johnny, and they reminded me that he fought a case for 30 years to get a conviction overturned. So do things happen in the case or in our court system that are not fair? Yes, every day. Every day. But that doesn't mean it's not a good system. It's just bad for you because you're the victim. You happen to be the victim of, you know, what your kids are saying. Now, it's not
okay. The girls that I have, they're 13 and 15, and right now where they are now, they've been there. Probably this is the 12th day, and they're in separate homes. They're 13 and 15, and both foster parents have put in a 14-day notice to have them removed because they said they don't want them in their house because they're unruly and I don't even know. They didn't even give me the whole rundown.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, that's something that I've been dealing with regularly, and I don't get the help that I need for them because they need a higher level of care.
Right.
And them getting a higher level of care that they need should not come down to me as a parent who has done everything possible, who now have to have her character assassinated.
Right.
Because they need a higher level of care.
But Carrie, let me ask you something. And I know this is a little strange, but let's assume that you were the judge and these two kids came to you and told you, yeah, our mom's abusing us. What do you believe? What do you do?
You investigate.
No, judges can't investigate. They make decisions on disputed issues of law and fact. Social workers are given the responsibility under the law, not by the judges, are given the responsibility by the law to investigate. And listen, sometimes social workers don't do a very good job. Sometimes they do. But a lot of times they don't. And in a lot of cases that Jennifer and I handle, if there's a great social worker on the case, we're never going to hear about it. People only come to us when it's a disaster.
Well, see, that's the thing. I have the social worker, not the one who took him away, but the one prior to her. Mm-hmm. They told her that they had a sister pact and that they were willing to say and do anything, including lie, to get out of my house.
I believe that.
This is what the social worker told me from her own mouth. And I'm like, read the paperwork of what your person who came to my house said.
Carrie, I hate to cut you off, but my engineer's telling me we got to take a break for some messages. I'm sorry that you're going through this. Don't give up hope. Talk to your attorney. Get an individual counselor so that he or she can give you some advice on how you get through this. Call us back in 6 to 8 weeks and give us an update, please. But today, I want to thank you for calling and thank you for listening. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. We'll be right back after these messages.